Dear friends, I'm going to just read a chapter from a book which I just finished reading. It's going to be a long video, I warn you. But I'm just trying out this format because I think it gives more depth so that I can read the chapter directly. This book is called Reality is Not What It Seems, The Journey to Quantum Gravity. It's a science book. It's written by an astrophysicist, Carlo Rovelli. I think it belongs to Shyam. I just found it and read it. It was the New York Times best-selling author of 7 Brief Lessons on Physics. Many of the chapters I could not comprehend the scientific details, but I accept it because as a physician I know if I talk in technical medicine, many of you may not be able to understand it unless you are in this profession. Since this particular person has tried his best to make it comprehensible to everybody, so to an extent I understand. And certain chapters are brilliant, especially the last one. So I just thought I will read it to you directly and skipping some portions because it's very long. So hope you have the patience to listen to it. One of the very first and most beautiful pages in the history of science is the passage in Plato's Phaedo, in which Socrates explains the shape of the earth. Socrates had died because he told the earth was round. He believes earth is a sphere with great valleys where men live. He is basically right, if a bit confused. He adds, I'm not sure. This page is worth much more than all the nonsense of the immortality of the soul that fills the rest of the dialogue. It's not just the oldest text to come down to us that speaks explicitly of the fact that earth must be spherical. More important, it shines with crystalline clarity with which Plato acknowledges the limits of the knowledge of his time. I am not sure, says Socrates. This acute awareness of our ignorance is the heart of scientific thinking. It is thanks to the awareness of the limits of our knowledge that we have learned so much. We are not certain of all that we suspect. Just as Socrates was not sure of the spherical nature of earth, we are exploring the borders of knowledge. Awareness of the limits of our knowledge is also awareness of the fact that what we know may turn out to be wrong or inexact. Only by keeping in mind that our beliefs may turn to be wrong is it possible to free ourselves from wrong ideas and to learn. To learn something, it is necessary to have the courage to accept that what we think we know, including our most rooted convictions, may be wrong or at least naive. Shadows on the wall of Plato's cave. Science is born from this act of humility, not trusting blindly in our past knowledge and our intuition, not believing in what everyone says, not having absolute faith in the accumulated knowledges of our fathers and grandfathers. We learn nothing if we think that we already know the essentials. If we assume that they are written in a book as known by the elders of our tribe. The centuries in which people had faith, in which they believed, were the centuries in which little new was learned. Had they trusted the knowledge of their fathers, Einstein, Newton and Copernicus would never have called things into question and would never have been able to move our knowledge forwards. If no one had raised doubts, we will be still worshipping pharaohs and thinking the earth is supported on the bank of a giant turtle. Even our most efficient knowledge, as that found by Newton, may until turn out to be, as Einstein showed, simplistic. Science is sometimes criticized for pretending to explain everything, for thinking that it has an answer to every question. It's a curious accusation, as every researcher working in every lab throughout the world knows. Doing science means coming up hard against the limits of your ignorance on a daily basis. The innumerable things that you don't know and can't do. This is quite different from claiming to know everything. We don't know which particles we might see next year at CERN, or what our next telescopes will reveal, or which equations truly describe the world. We don't know how to solve the equations we have, and sometimes we don't understand what they signify. We don't know if the beautiful theory on which we are working is right. We don't know what is there beyond the Big Bang. We don't know how a storm works, or a bacterium, or an eye, or a cell in our own body, or in our thought process. A scientist is someone who lives immersed in the awareness of our deep ignorance, in direct contact with your own innumerable limits, with the limits of our understanding. But if we are certain of nothing, how can we possibly rely on what science tells us? The answer is simple. Science is not reliable because it provides certainty. It is reliable because it provides us with the best answers we have at present. Science is the most we know so far about the problems confronting us. It is precisely this openness, its constant putting of current knowledge in question, that guarantees that the answers it offers are the best so far available. If you find better answers, these new answers will become science. When Einstein found better answers than Newton, he didn't question the capacity of science to give the best possible answers. On the contrary, he confirmed it. The answers given by science then are not reliable because they are definitive. They are reliable because they are not definitive. They are reliable because they are the best available today. And they are the best we have because we don't consider them to be definitive but see them as an improvement. It's the awareness of our ignorance that gives science its reliability. And it's reliability that we need, not certainty. We don't have absolute certainty and never will it have unless we have blind belief. The most credible answers are the ones given by science, because science is the search for the most credible answers available, not for answers pretending to be certainty. Though rooted in previous knowledge, science is an adventure based on continuous change. The story I have told reaches back over millennia, tracing a narrative of science that has treasured good ideas but hasn't hesitated to throw ideas away when something was found that worked better. The nature of scientific thinking is critical, rebellious and dissatisfied with a priori conception, reverence and sacred and untouchable truth. The search for knowledge is not nourished by certainty, it is nourished by a radical distrust in certainty. This means not giving credence to those who say they are in possession of truth. For this reason, science and religion frequently find themselves on a collision course. Not because science pretends to know all the answers, but precisely of the opposite reason. Because the scientific spirits distrust whoever claims to be the one having ultimate answers or privileged access to truth. This distrust is found to be disturbing in some religious quarters. It is not science that is disturbed by religion. There are certain religions that are disturbed by science. To accept the substantial uncertainty of our knowledge is to accept living immersed in ignorance and therefore in mystery. To live with questions which we do not know the answers, perhaps we don't know them yet, or who knows, we never will. To live with uncertainty may be difficult. There are those who prefer any certainty, even if unfounded, to the uncertainty that comes from recognizing own limits. There are some who prefer to believe in a story just because it was believed by the tribe's ancestors rather than bravely accept uncertainty. Ignorance can be scary. Out of fear, we can tell ourselves calming stories. Up there beyond the stars, there is an enchanted garden with a gentle father who will welcome us into his arms. It doesn't matter if this is true, it is reassuring. There is always in the world someone who pretends to tell us the ultimate answers. The world is full of people who say that they have the truth because they have got it from the fathers. They got it read in a great book. They have received it directly from a God. They have found it in the depths of themselves. There is always someone who has the presumption to be the depository of truth. neglecting to notice the other world is also full of other depositories of truth, each one with its own real truth, differing from that of the others. There is always some prophet dressed in white uttering the word, "Follow me, I am the true way." I am not criticizing those who prefer to believe in this. We are all free to believe. This is the author is writing, not me. The author is writing. Don't criticize those who prefer to believe in this. We are all free to believe in whatever we want. Maybe after all there is a grain of truth in the joke reported by Saint Augustine. What was God doing before creating the world? He was preparing hell for those who seek to scrutinize deep mysteries. But these deep mysteries are precisely in the depths in which Democritus, in the quote that opens this chapter, invites us to seek the truth. For my part, I prefer to look at our ignorance in the face, accept it, and seek to look at just a little further, to try to understand about what we are able to understand. Not just because accepting the ignorance is the way to avoid being entangled in superstitions and prejudices, but because we accept our ignorance in the first place seems to be the truest, the most beautiful, and above all the most honest way. To seek, to look further, to go further seems to be one of the splendid things that give sense to life. Like loving or looking at the sky, the curiosity to learn, to discover, to look over the next hill, the desire to taste the apple, these are things that make us human. As Dante's Ulysses reminds his companions, we are not made to live like brutes, but to seek virtue and knowledge. The world is more extraordinary and profound than any of the fables told by our forefathers. I want to go and see it. To accept uncertainty doesn't distract me from our sense of mystery. On the contrary, we are immersed in the mystery of the beauty of the world. The world revealed by quantum gravity is a new and strange one, and full of mystery, but coherent with its simple and clear beauty. In a world that does not exist in space and does not develop in time, a world made up solely of interacting quantum fields, the swarming of which generates through a dense network of reciprocal interactions, space, time, particles, waves, and lights. It continues, teeming life and death, tender and hostile, clear and knowledgeable. And the poet goes, so much the eye can see from this watching tower. A world without infinity, where the infinitely small does not exist, because there is a million scale to this teeming, beneath which there is nothing. Quanta of space mingle with the form of space-time, and the structure of things is born from reciprocal information that weaves the correlation among the regions of the world. A world we know how to describe with a set of equations, perhaps to be corrected. It's a vast world with which still to clarify and explore. It's my fondest dream that one of the younger readers of this book, I hope, will be able to voyage across it and illuminate it better. Beyond the next hill, there are worlds still more vast, still to be discovered. Reality is not what is seen, by Carlo Rovelli, a beautiful book I just finished reading. I will put the link. Please do read it if you can. Thank you.